Hi, I'm Nina, and I'm the vocalist of Spoils.
I'm Elise, and I play bass in Spoils.
My name is Leo, and I play the drums.
My name's Samantha. I play keyboard and guitar.
Very nice. And maybe in the same order, if it makes sense, are you from Cincinnati? When and where were you born, or where'd you come from?
Yeah, I am from Cincinnati. I've lived here my whole life. I'm from the east side in Marymount. I live in Clifton now. I won't say my address, but I'm close to the library, which is what counts.
Born and raised in Cincinnati. Grew up in Loveland, and now in Springfield Township. Just
Nice.
hanging out.
Born and raised here in Cincinnati, mostly east side. Now we live in Springfield Township.
They're married.
We're
Yeah,
married.
we're married.
Yeah.
For the section.
I was also born and raised in Cincinnati. I grew up in Pleasant Ridge, and I live in Clifton now, also near a library.
Yeah, we're roommates. Married roommates.
Both
Also
roommates.
Yeah.
Roommates,
All
roommates.
roommates.
Also roommates, but not
It makes
married.
things simpler.
Yeah.
A lot of carpooling going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, rehearsal seems easy to coordinate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, it's straightforward.
This is
It's
true.
a two-car situation.
One car. Yeah.
Well, that's cool. You guys are all, born and bred Cincinnatians. Did you guys grow up did you know each other growing up, or how and when did you meet?
I had met Leo when I was like a junior in high school,
Mhm.
and then through a mutual friend, and then didn't cross paths again till we were freshmen in college. And I remember cutting class and going to Shake It Records and Blue Jay with Leo and another friend. I don't know if you remember, but we were like, let's skip class, and I'd never done that before, and that was like my first time hanging out with Leo. And then I met you a few years later, and I met Sam around the same time through just all mutual friends. But we all have weird kind of overlapping, many such cases for Cincinnati. Like Sam was best friends with a friend who knew Leo, who I knew.
Yeah, we were
her.
both
Very, very.
started hanging out with Leo because of the same friend,
Yeah.
and then
And then I
We met
married.
you
I
through
married
Leo.
into it.
Yeah.
And
So
then we got,
And they're friends.
locked that down. Yeah.
it's true.
Yeah.
I remember hanging out with you guys before we started even dating.
Yeah.
And I was like, I've got to get into this friend group.
Yeah. I met you at a show in on Warsaw Avenue
Yeah.
in
Mhm.
Priceville. Yeah.
I've got a selfie from that show.
Yeah.
Might as well.
That
Yeah.
place is an empanada place now
Oh.
on Warsaw. It's no longer. It was a funeral home, then it was a DIY venue, and now it's
Empanadas.
got
Empanadas.
empanadas.
Can't complain.
So
Yeah.
All of this is a very Cincinnati experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From everybody knowing everybody to now it's an empanada and it used to be a funeral home.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
That's so funny.
How did you all get interested in music? How did each of you start your musical kind of journeys?
I grew up in a really musical home. My dad played in bands in Clifton here in the 80s and 90s, and also played. He's from Dayton. He plays bass. So I grew up playing the violin, classically, and then in college just started playing music a little bit, and kind of on my own, especially during the pandemic. I found a guitar at my parents' house, and I was just sort of it was missing a string. I didn't know that it was supposed to be in a tuning, and I was just making iPhone voice memo recordings. And then Samantha and I started living together, and that's kind of when Spoils formed. But I've been playing, music my whole life.
What bands was your dad in?
So he was actually in a band in Clifton called the Clifton 100s. And for Father's Day a few years ago, they had a demo tape that they recorded up in Dayton, and I digitized it and I put it on Bandcamp. So it's out there on the internet, but they recorded did recordings on Lorraine off of Clifton Avenue up in Clifton, which is really close to where I am now. So there's these weird overlappings, but he played in a handful of bands in Dayton. He played. He was at the same school that Bob Pollard of Guided by Voices taught at. And my dad played in a band with the first drummer of Guided by Voices, pre all of that. But it's, again, Cincinnati style, the interweaving, weird family tree stuff goes back to there, too. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you've always had a close proximity to Cincinnati music and
Yeah.
to musicians.
For sure, yeah. Even like talking to my parents, like the bands that they used to go see, which is like Fairmount Girls and like the Ass Ponies and those bands. Like we play shows with Fairmount Girls now and like consider them like mentors and friends and like yeah, it's wild to me, but I love it.
Fairmount Girls rules.
Yeah, shout out Fairmount Girls.
Shout out, Fairmount Girls.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Elise, what about you? How'd you get started?
I started, when I was like a near baby with piano lessons and stuff like that for a long, long time, and played piano, started playing bass because I was like in a youth group, like church band, and nobody played bass. And like my mentor and friend, Jefferson Bennett, he was like a huge part in me starting to play music out because I had like a recital that went horribly wrong when I was like 10 years old, and I had promised I would never play music out ever again. And my friend Jefferson like helped me kind of get back on stage and learn how to be comfortable playing music again, and did that all through high school until I was like maybe 20. I was playing in church band and stuff like that, and then I stopped and I didn't play for a few years, and then Spoils had a need, and I had secretly kind of been practicing all the songs, making my own parts to these songs that they had, and I was like, I bet I could play with them at some point. And so then we had a need, and
Yeah.
I was like, gosh, guys, I guess if you need a bass player, like, I kind of know the songs, it's fine. And now it's been
Killed
like
it.
2
Killed
years.
it, yeah.
It's been
Yeah.
like 2 years, and I feel great.
You ripped.
It's awesome. I
Yeah.
love it. So I'm happy to be back in the music scene after
Cool.
a handful of years.
Can I ask what went
Yeah.
horribly wrong at that recital?
Oh, I was playing like my first real classical piece, because I was mostly like playing like kids.
What were you playing?
I don't remember what
Like,
it
what
was.
instrument
It
were
was
you
just
playing?
it was piano,
Okay.
and it was so embarrassing. You go up and you like say your name and what you're gonna play, and I played the whole thing fine, and I had like crazy anxiety with like playing, but I made it through the very last thing, very last note, and I couldn't find the note. And I messed
Oh.
up probably like 15 to 20 times before I finally landed on the last note. And there's a video of me just going, when I finally hit the note. And then I had to play another piece after that. So I went up to the mic and said, I have to play the Old McDonald's, like, ragtime, like, crazy name. It was infantilizing and horrifying and
Traumatized.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was like
Maple
after
Leaf
my
Rag.
first classical piece that I totally royally screwed up. It was horrible, yeah, and I didn't play a recital until I didn't play out in public for like 6 or 7 more years.
Wow.
It was so
Wow.
Aw.
I didn't know about
Not,
that.
but look at
It
look where
was-
you are now.
I know. Thanks to Jefferson Bennett.
Yeah.
Mentor and friend.
Wow.
Well, we're really glad you overcame that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Because it was like all I ever wanted to do. So I was like, thank God. You
Yeah.
brought it back in.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
well, thank you for sharing
Of
that.
course.
Yeah.
It's a great story. It's really funny.
Aw.
Live to tell the tale. It's been
Yeah.
almost 20 years, guys. It's fine.
Well,
Well, now it's
Yeah.
memorialized forever
yeah,
on
now
camera.
it's forever. Yeah.
Leo, how about you? How'd you get started with music? Any
Um,
traumatic stories?
Yes. I grew up not really playing any instrument. I was more of an art kid. And then when like 6th grade rolled around, I wanted to play something. So my dad took me to a bunch of churches that his friends knew. We didn't go to church, but he knew a bunch of friends that played in like church bands. And so I went and saw a bunch of people like saxophone, keys, guitar. But I landed on piano, and I did that for a couple of years until I was just like, this is boring. And so I switched to guitar in middle school, and I just kind of did that. And in high school, I started a band, and
The Leeches?
something like that. Vandalia.
Nancy Reagan?
Oh,
No.
yeah, the Leeches.
The Nancy Reagan.
We went through a lot of names, and then we broke up. And then in college, I had another band called Vandalia, and then we only played for like 2 years maybe. And then I started another band called Arlen Gun Club, and then right after that, they needed a drummer, and I didn't play drums at all. I had taken one drum lesson. My dad is a drummer, and I grew up in a house with him being very musical. My brother also played music, and he graduated from CCM and stuff. And he plays piano mainly, and my dad's mainly drums. But I never learned drums. I tried, but my dad's a horrible teacher. But he was in a bands in the 80s and 90s, and then covered bands since then. He's the original and current drummer for the Rusty Griswolds, noted cover band. He's got some other ones, but he was.
G, your band smells terrific.
That's his other band. G, your
Really
band
good
smells
cover
terrific.
band.
They're a
Terrific.
70s rock.
They're
pop rock
awesome.
cover band. And his original band was called Birdhouse in the early 90s. I have their CD. But yeah, so then I didn't play drums, but they needed a drummer, and I had briefly played drums for her family's church, like Christmas season, because her sister led the worship, and I was like, I guess I can try.
She needed help.
So I managed to figure it out, and then I bought a drum kit when they asked me, and I was like, we'll figure it out. And I got that's how I got the part. That's how I landed the audition.
Also, Sam saw you play in high school, right?
Yeah, we actually met at your high school
lab.
band's last show
Yeah.
at the Woodward.
Yeah.
Our mutual friend that connected the three of us,
Mm-hmm.
Claire Ruling, she was
Shout out.
like, my friend's band's playing, will you come with me? Sure. And that's when I met Leo.
Memories.
That was cool when we played the Woodward.
Wow.
That's
Roots
cool. So,
here.
so your band was popular if
No.
your high school band is
Yeah.
yeah. the Woodward.
No,
Yeah.
our
Yes, it
drummer's
was.
dad is the owner of the motor in the Woodward.
So
Some may
Nepo
say
has connections.
Cincinnati Nepo
Nepo
babies
babies.
right here.
Yeah.
there were like, besides the bands that were playing, maybe 4 people in the crowd that night that paid to get in there.
Yeah, my dad.
Yeah, yeah, it was cool
Packed
though.
crowd.
It was fun. You guys played a Nirvana cover. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's really cool. These are cool legacies too. That your parents were involved in the music scene, and then you
Yeah.
guys all kind of formed together. You said you grew up in a musical household, and your brother went to CCM also.
Mm-hmm.
That's
He's
awesome.
not in a band. He does like.
Yeah, he is.
Oh, I guess he is. He is now.
New band.
But like he's like very recently in bands. He's been his own solo artist for a long time.
Yeah.
Like in music production mainly. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my grandpa played accordion and organ.
There you go.
Wow.
There you go.
3rd generation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's awesome. I do feel like when your parents are musical, they pass down the love to you, and then when you see how
Yeah.
much they love it, because my mom was super musical. Like when you see how much they love it, you get attached to it too.
Yeah.
I think.
Totally.
Yeah. Sam, how about it? How did you get involved in music? What was your musical journey?
Yeah. I grew up taking piano lessons, but I never practiced, so I never got so good at that. But in high school, I started listening to indie rock, and I was like, I want to do that. So, namely The Strokes. And so in high school, I started playing guitar, learning Strokes songs, but never really like followed through with much of it. Kind of like a jack of all trades, master of none. And so then when I was living with Nina during COVID, we started playing music together. And I've started kind of, I guess, learning more of my instruments while playing in Spoils, which has been a lot of fun. It's been really cool to watch myself grow as a musician. So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's been
True.
cool seeing you
Yeah,
as a
honestly.
musician.
Yeah.
And
it's
your
been
new
so
band.
fun.
Oh
And
yeah.
new band.
New band.
Yeah.
You have a new band.
The 3 of us are in a new band with our friend Claire.
The connector.
The
Indy
connector.
500
Indy
Um,
500
Story.
Cincinnati.
just started, no shows,
Yeah.
but we'll get there.
Spelled differently.
Someday.
For copyright
Legally
protection.
different.
Yeah.
Well, I think we should spell with an I, but
Oh,
whatever.
I know.
Indy.
Or no space.
INDIE.
Oh my gosh, the Indy 500's today. Happy race day.
You guys. Cancel the
guys.
show.
Gentlemen.
Amazing.
Cancel the show.
Let's go.
We can live stream
Willpower.
that,
I gotta go.
I'm gonna ask you guys the most Cincinnati question ever, which is, where did you all graduate from high school and what year?
I graduated from Marymount in 2017. Marymount High School. Yeah.
I was homeschooled. I was homeschooled, graduated in 2016.
Walnut Hills High School, 2017.
To Ursuline, and I graduated in 2017.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
this
was a
helps me
oldie.
get oriented too.
Sure.
Did any of you go on to like formally study music? Did you guys go to college for music? Leo, I saw you kind of.
No, I thought you were about to say we studied secondary anything. I was like, yeah, I did.
Yeah, no,
But-
and I would love to ask if any of you all like went to like college around here, secondary school
Yeah.
around here.
Yeah, I went to college at University of Cincinnati. I was in DAP for 2 years doing graphic design. Was not great at it. And then transferred to English and technical writing, and it was the best thing I've ever done. And then 2 months in, the pandemic started, and it was so heartbreaking, but it's okay. But I did do like community orchestra at UC, which was really fun, a good way to like continue to play music, you know? But then that stopped during COVID. So great. Yeah.
I didn't go to college.
Yeah.
I went straight to work and then, was spending my free time on GarageBand
Mm.
during in
And
the meantime.
Sims.
Because I always thought, I was like, you know what, maybe I'll go to
Baldur's
school for
Baldur's
for music and everything, but
Still can.
you know,
Yeah,
still
never
can,
can.
This is
but
not a
this is
question
my
designed to make
dream.
you feel inadequate at all. Like this is just
Mhm.
purely biographical.
I went to UC for media production. I'm terrible at it, but I graduated just to graduate. I was in jazz. I was in the jazz ensemble in high school. I forgot to mention that.
Sure.
Playing guitar, jazz guitar. So
Nice.
Oh, true, yeah.
yeah.
Fancy.
Yeah, I was good at that.
I went to UC and I studied mathematics, which was so fun. I miss it. Yeah, I miss it. I do.
Numbers,
Not math
numbers guy.
anymore, but
What was the intention there?
I went to school undecided, and I really didn't know what I wanted to do, but I realized I loved taking my math classes. I was like, well, I know I'll never stop taking math classes, and I was like, you don't have a major. That'll be your major. So I was like, well, obviously I'm going to take all the calculus classes, and then got to do all the upper level math stuff, and that was fun. Yeah.
Cool. Cool. That's like a surprising little
Yeah.
little tidbit. That's fun. So you guys kind of described all meeting through mutual friends, long-standing backgrounds. Can you talk about how Spoils formed? How'd you guys get your name? How'd you get started?
Yes.
That's you.
Okay, COVID. It was a COVID project. I was like writing a lot of music during COVID, like more formal songwriting than what I was doing like in high school and early college, which was like messing around with a screwed up guitar and like doing voice memos and like looping stuff. I had played violin with a band like touring, and that was kind of like my foray into like indie rock music, like performing. I had like done classical and ensemble stuff, but never any sort of performance like that. And then when I was like doing that and seeing that, I was like, oh, I could do this. Like I want to do this. I started writing music during COVID. Started just like really formally writing like indie rock songs. And Samantha and I were living together, and she and I started playing together. And then we had a friend who lived above us who came down and played bass with us, and he was in Spoils for a little bit playing bass. His name is Jack, and that was like the very foundation of Spoils. And then we went to Sam's parents' house and started like practicing there, and we had Leo come and play drums. And then we were kind of like, oh, well, we have songs now. I guess we should play a show. And it was like kind of still COVID time. It was like
It was
I
summer.
remember
it was before the second
it was
wave or
It
whatever.
was like we had our first whole band practice on Holy Saturday in 2021. It was the day before Easter, and then that was probably like beginning of
Whoa.
April,
Yeah.
and then we
4-year
played
anniversary.
our first show at the on June 1st in that year, like 2 months
wow.
later.
At a friend's
There
house.
you go.
Yeah. And it was
Yeah.
at our friend's backyard. But I remember feeling very rushed and scared. I was like, we don't,
Yeah.
what are we doing?
We
And you
didn't
were
need
so,
to do that.
And I also was like, you guys, this was also like, like things were just opening up. Like I don't even think the mask mandate had ended yet. And like we were like,
People need to hear this.
yeah, we were
Yeah.
like, no, we'll just do
Our
it outside. It'll
narcissism
be
took
totally
over.
fine. And like if you go inside, you'll just like wear a mask and like we'll ask everybody to bring their vaccine cards. Like on our first poster, I think it's like bring your vax card, which is like crazy.
Yeesh.
Crazy
Yeah.
that that's
Think
when
about,
it started, yeah. Because it's
And
2021.
yeah, I remember it was like, this is people are gonna be so mad.
No
at
one
us
got
for playing
COVID
a
though.
show. Nobody.
For what it's worth,
And
no
a
one
million
got.
people showed up.
That's
They-
not-
Yeah.
You know what? I will
It
say a
packed
lot of
out the
people.
yard.
A lot of people. We played at a friend's house in Clifton. A lot of people came. I think people were really like thirsty for music, and
I
like
think that's true.
it kind of was like far enough into the pandemic where it was like, come on, like we
There
just
was
want to
shows
go
on the street.
out. What?
There was a show down the street.
Yeah,
in
there was,
Clifton
like,
Square.
Social
Mhm.
gatherings
Yeah.
starting to happen.
Yeah.
It was
Because
like a year later.
yeah, everyone was getting vaccinated.
Yeah.
And we're like,
Oh my
finally, we
God.
can like go outdoors
The
and
post-COVID energy was like,
hang out.
oh my god, it was
Yeah.
like,
It was
yeah,
awesome.
it was incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's like, I guess the foundation of Spoils, and then we just, yeah, been playing together since then.
Where's the name come from?
We got
Oh,
our
yeah.
name. My brother gave me a collection of every Kurt Vonnegut short story, all the Kurt Vonnegut short stories. And I was reading through them and I was looking at the titles of them and I noticed there was one called Girl Pool,
Yeah.
which is the name of another band
Yeah.
that we're fans of. And I was like, what if I was talking to Nina and we were like really struggling with names. And we were like, what if we name ourselves after a Kurt Vonnegut short story? So I just started reading all the titles in the index,
Yeah.
in the table of contents, excuse me. And we saw Spoils, and we're like, that's it, that's the one. But, sorry, that's the one. But I will say it's not that good of a short story. It's like kind of mid.
It's not great,
It's
yeah.
about this. It's like the spoils of war, and it's like classic Kurt Vonnegut. Like right after the World War II ends, I think like some American soldiers are going and raiding houses in Germany, and they take this kid's bunny, and I think they killed it and ate it, and then the kid comes back around and is like, it's like this cute little kid, and he's like, where are my bunny rabbits? And he's like, oh no, the spoils of war, like. That's bad. But yeah, maybe he's got better short stories.
Yeah.
In honor of the bunny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Samantha, you're funny. You're like sleeper funny. Like,
Yeah.
like you say something I don't expect it to be as funny as it is.
Thank you.
That's good. Well, cool. Okay, Spoils after Spoils of War, Kurt Vonnegut. That's
Yeah.
a cool backstory though. That has some literary interest.
There were a lot of bad names that we.
Oh,
It's like a rite of passage as a
Yeah.
band. You
Yeah.
have to cycle
Oh
through
my
some
God.
crappy names.
We would like read the
And
names to
then-
each other and be like, "Oh, that one's worse," and then be like, "But maybe we should use it." Like, I don't know.
Maybe there's something to that.
There's like
Some of the
name blindness.
Yeah, what are some of the names?
I don't want to say. I actually
I
don't.
don't
well,
remember.
there
It
was,
was, like-
one we had landed on. We were like, this is the one. It was Kick Sydney. We have two friends named Sydney. We went over to their
Yeah.
house and we told them, and they
Yeah.
didn't act immediately excited. And I was like, okay, we'll change it. Like we're not
Yeah.
gonna have their name in our band name, because they we'll just change it. That's fine.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Katie's funny. I
Thank
like that one too.
God.
Yeah. It could
I
have
love
worked.
that.
It could have worked. But it's like you try it out on your friends and family. When it's either no reaction, it's like,
I was telling my
Ew.
mom names of like bands that already existed, and I was like, "What do you think of this one?" And I was like, kind of just trying to like gauge like what her taste is to see if she was like gonna give us good advice on band names. And I remember telling her that your dad's band name, the Clifton 100, and she was like, "That," and I was like, "Can't. It's already in
Clifton
band name."
200s. Clifton 200s. We could have done
101.
She was like,
Yeah.
"You should do place and number," and I was like,
Well, you took that advice for Indy 500.
"Exactly."
Oh, there
my
it is.
God.
that. Your mom's right. I remember telling our friend Zoe that our band was called Spoils, and her first reaction was, "Ugh, spoiled milk." And I was like, too late to change it. We already texted in the group chat.
We already named the group chat, so
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever.
Once it's the group chat name, it's
Yeah,
That's
it's
not
can't
true.
go
Set
back.
stone.
I went
Yeah.
through so many names in high school with those bands.
The Nancy Reagans.
Leeches,
Leeches.
the Rail Dogs,
I made
Pollyanna.
Well,
Yeah. That was all one
The
band.
Nancy Reagans is a great name.
Yeah,
that was a
that's
good
an
one, but it
awesome
didn't
name.
last.
Yeah, that's okay.
hilarious.
Nice. No, these are good. How about like musical inspirations and influences as a band? You guys have mentioned a ton of bands so far, but as a group, like who are you influenced by?
I have no idea.
Ohio style music. I don't know, like indie Ohio rock, like Guided by Voices. Honestly, like Fairmount Girls and Wussy,
Pussy for sure.
who we've been like lucky enough to sort of develop like relations with over the years. Like I think that's what's really cool about Cincinnati's. The scene is very mutually supportive, especially like across generations. We're actually moving into a rehearsal space with the Fairmount Girls, and we'll see like the old QCA studios. I went and looked at the rehearsal space, and I just felt so like starstruck, even though they're like just very friendly people, and they're like, we're gonna try and come to the library on Sunday. So I feel like it's almost the inspiration comes almost more from like the relationships and less from music. Although like I guess like musically, I don't know, like yeah, early kind of indie rock like Dear Nora and those sort of like yeah. We get called like shoegaze and slacker rock a lot, which like I don't totally identify
I don't
with,
think
but
I wouldn't say that we're anywhere near shoegaze, but
Yeah.
I would say we're slacker rock.
yeah,
I sent my dad
kinda
the flyer.
like-
He said, "What's shoegaze?" I'm like,
Shoegazy.
I don't know.
yeah, yeah.
You look at your shoes when you're playing.
Your head's down.
We do,
and
we do
do
that.
kind of.
And I
We
do,
do that,
and I do
yeah.
hang my head low.
Yeah, I don't know, but I don't.
Stare off
there's
into
anything
space.
Reclaiming the
else
shoegaze name.
inspiration, like, that you
I-
guys think of?
I don't have any drum inspiration that's indie. All my drumming I learned from listening to like Dave Grohl, and that's kind of it. Like, I mean,
Ohio
there's probably
native.
other inspirations, but that's kind of where I get my core playing style because I didn't really like. I've only been playing drums for as long as Spoils has been a band for the most part. So I would just practice by listening to Nirvana and like early Foo Fighters and stuff like that. So because it was
Fighters.
easy. And you can kind of hear it. I bring like a punk kind of drum style to
yeah.
what is otherwise kind of more of a glittery, like soft band.
An edge. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think I'm like always just really inspired by the Fairmount Girls
Yeah, so much.
because I relate to them specifically because when they started their band, they were all new to their instruments, and they like they were all playing instruments that they hadn't played before. And as somebody who's learning as they go, I like relate to them a lot.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I didn't know that about them.
Yeah,
It's cool.
yeah. I feel like their
They're the
songwriting,
coolest.
like,
You can kind of see it in a way. Like they have a very
Yeah.
like it's not like a not bad. It's like a primitive, almost kind of like
What's their guitarist's
outsider
name?
style playing.
Jane?
Yeah, feel very inspired by Jane's guitar.
Yeah, yeah. They're like
Love her.
their like songwriting is enhanced by like their relationships with their instrument, which is like Sam said, they didn't like they learned as they were playing, which I think is like how you learned how I also started learning. So it wasn't like I didn't like grow up playing guitar, so it wasn't like a technical like exploration. It was more like using what I had, kind of thing. And then the songwriting. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they go hand in hand in a way that I like.
I guess I've technically been learning as I go.
Yeah.
Too. I've been around drums a lot before, but I never played drums really. So
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
relate.
At least
Got
She's
nothing
a
to add.
master of everything.
it's true.
It's true. She picks up anything. She goes.
Yeah.
Mastermind.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
She plays guitar,
Yeah,
bass, drums,
Lisa's
piano, sings, everything.
really-
She's so talented. It's great.
Like you could do all of Spoils, and we could just
Yeah.
like sit here.
You just watch.
She's
Yeah.
I'm Dick
hanging
Van
out.
Dyke
watch.
at the beginning of
Yeah.
Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Nice, that's a high compliment.
That I gave to myself.
No,
No, I'm kidding.
No, they all confirmed it. They all. You touched on that a little bit. Like, how do you guys write songs as a band? What's your creative process?
It started like I said, I was writing music and then brought it in, and that's like how we've worked for a couple years. Where I would come in with a song, and then we would sort of like, I would write a guitar and lyrics, and then come in, and then we'd all kind of either collaboratively or like singularly, like build the rest of the instrumentation. But now we're in the middle of working on a new record. We have like 2 EPs out, and we're starting to kind of go into more, I think, of an experimental territory where we're like all kind of like Elise has come in, Samantha's come in, even like you've come in, where like we all sort of have brought new songs in and just sort of tried them out with one another, and it's more of an approach of just like feeling things out and seeing where they go, rather than like formally like, here's a song, how do we write the instrumentation, which is how we were working, and which was cool. But now I feel like we have these like kind of roots as a band and also a friendship where it's fun to just come and play together and not just like focus on executing a song. I think when we started, it was like, let's write these songs so we can play a show, because I felt so socially starved. And now it's more like, let's not play a show and try and work on these songs. It's kind of in the spot we're in, where we're just trying to finish like writing stuff together, but like taking our time writing it and seeing how to get the most out of it. Like the first Spoils record, we were like, just write the first bass line you think of, write the first guitar thing you think of, and just like, let's record it. And listening back, it's like, we really did just the first thing we thought of, went with it, which is cool. It works for what it was, but now we're like, I think, a little more patient with it.
I think it's probably always been collaborative, but the way
Yeah.
that the collaboration has evolved,
Yeah,
and how the songwriting process has become.
it feels less hierarchical. It feels like
Yeah.
a lot more like we're like peers in a way. Like
Yeah.
before where it came in, it felt like I was like, here's something, like let's, it feels more like we're all sort of bringing in equal parts of the pie and trading roles with each other, which I really like. And
Yeah,
also
that's been so
we're
fun.
switching up like the instrumentation. We're doing a song today where Sam is gonna play drums. And
It's true.
Elise is
Yeah.
gonna play like slide guitar, and Leo's gonna play bass, or like we're playing one of Sam's songs today, and I played bass, and like we're starting to switch up roles too,
Musical
which
chairs, if you will.
literally
Yeah.
musical
Which
chairs,
is really fun.
literally, which I feel like like a year ago we weren't like in a space to do that. I don't know, or it just like
Yeah.
wasn't something we were trying to do.
Mhm.
It's more fun.
You get antsy
Play that
after a
Weezer
while.
cover.
Oh, we did a Weezer cover. Yeah,
That was-
sorry.
We did
Yeah,
bring
we
the house
switched. What
down
time?
at Motor.
Sweater song, Undone.
Well,
We brought
yeah.
the house
they had
down
me
at
play
Motor.
guitar.
Oh my God, it's
Weezer
such a good
cover.
song.
It was
That's a
actually
great
the
song.
closest I've
Yeah.
ever felt to being like a rock star.
Yeah, Elise played drums.
I got really
Killed
I
it.
played drums. I got really carried away. Ended up doing the last part of the song twice. Because I was
It
like,
was
I'm
that
having the
good.
time of my
'Cause
life
it
right
was
now.
that
Keep
good.
going. Let's just
Yeah.
keep going, guys.
I was
Yeah.
tasked with playing the guitar solo, and I've always been a rhythm guitar player.
You shred
That was
though.
awesome.
But
Don't lie.
I
You
barely-
shred.
I barely pulled it together.
People are going like this.
I was like, I'm never
It's
going to
crazy.
do it again.
It was really good. Yeah.
I'm glad that's been recorded now.
I forgot about that. So
I
fun.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Not
cool that you
creative.
guys are like evolving and changing, and I think it's cool too. You all have kind of like a frame of reference for each other's instruments too, so you can always put yourselves in each other's shoes or musical chairs. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. What are your songs about? Where do you guys write about when you write a song? Don't say life.
It's not.
Well-
It's not like, it's like super stream of consciousness-y. I was, a lot of the times it's like very automatic, which I was like talking to my partner about how like sometimes it doesn't feel good when it's so automatic, because it's like I would like to be able to develop a craft where I can sort of like challenge myself in a way to songwrite. But a lot, like especially during COVID, it was like the songs were just like coming out, and I was like, I just have to write it down. A lot of it was like dreams I was having. The song we're playing today, called Miller Song, is like almost like not word for word, but it's like very literally like a dream I had. And a lot of it's like there's like not a lot of narrative in my songwriting. I studied English, but I didn't study creative writing. I studied technical writing, so I lack the skills to develop narrative. So a lot of times it's just like words that I think sound good together, or are representatives of like themes that I'm thinking about, rather than like stuff that's happened to me or things like that. Actually, that's not true. We have a song called David that we're playing that is about the first show we ever played like out was at the Comet in I think 2021. And after the show, I was standing outside of the Comet, and a guy came up to me and was like, I was walking by the Comet, and, like, I heard you guys playing, and, like, he just was very highly complimentary and was, like, asking, you know.
But we had seen him
Oh,
2 days
duh.
before that. We saw him at Blue Jay, and then we saw him at Tavern.
Yeah.
And then we saw him again. He
Yeah.
walked past us playing, and he was like, you guys sounded amazing. I had to go into the bar.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember making eye contact with him in Blue Jay, like on a Thursday or Friday, and then on like a Saturday seeing him, at the playing pool at Tavern,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Passed by him on
Sunday,
the
and we
street
were
in
like,
Clifton one time too, right?
yeah, and we're like,
Claire saw him at a pumpkin patch once.
yeah, we're not gonna name names, but
It's not even
But
David,
the
is
song
it?
is
his
called
name's
David.
not David. It's
Yeah.
not David. But it was about how, this, like, we, like, crossed paths 3 times again, Cincinnati style. It's like suddenly you just see someone everywhere and you're like, I don't know you, and now I do because we're somehow on the same path in Cincinnati. So, like, I guess in some cases it is, like, true to life, but it's like, I don't know. That felt just like this weird kismet that I had to kind of capture. But, like, I would like to hear, like, y'all's songwriting processes. I don't know.
I don't do a whole lot of songwriting, but I think when I do, it's also kind of like more just like what words sound good together. I'm more of a math person, not a words person. So, I spend a lot of time reworking my lyrics. I think the song we're playing today is, I've been told very sad, but by people, but lyrically, but it sounds pretty bright, I think. It's not really about anything. Kind of like things are gonna be okay, even when you're PMSing. Type beat, and then like
We need
I
that as
did
a
something. I did something funny with like the chorus lyrics, whatever. I did write a song though. Recently for another band, or no, I wrote a song. I've told Nina about it. I don't know, I haven't played it with anybody, but it's just about even if the world ends, and even though the world's really bad right now, like, global warming, colonialism, everything that's bad, like, it gave us indie rock, and indie rock's awesome, and like electronic music is so cool, and like even though all that sucks, even though the world's really bad, we have indie rock, and that's awesome. I was so grateful for that. And if at all we ever like lose power and we're never able to plug in our amps again, I'll miss that, That'll be sad, but that's okay.
Environmental destruction gave us
It gave us amps,
The Strokes,
it gave us guitars, it gave us
Diodes
the
and
Strokes.
and tubes,
Thank God.
and tubes, tube
Mhm.
amps.
which are low key limited in supply.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Don't need to talk about that.
talk about conservation.
Mhm.
But-
Elise, do you have anything you want to share about your
Oh,
songwriting?
I guess I used to. I haven't written much lately, but when I get into songwriting kicks, it is like listening to music. I'll be in the car and I'll listen to music that I have never listened to before, like whether it was something people suggested or like Spotify Discover playlist or something. And I would get like riffs in my head and I would have songs stuck in my head and I wouldn't know the words to them. So I would like come up with words on my own and then that would catapult then creating a song around those lyrics that I put to a different song that then would become its own thing. So like when there was writer's block and stuff like that, that would be something that would happen. Or I would be listening to a song, gain inspiration from that, immediately put it on pause and like open up voice notes and just kind of like hum a lead line or like bass line or something like that. And then I'm the kind of person that like when I come up with something, I have to come up with it. I like have to see it to completion. And so I would go home and immediately open up Logic and write the full demo and like come up with all the parts. And I know that my computer hates to see me coming because I literally will use like all 36, 42 tracks that they have. I'm like, we actually need those vocals doubled twice. We need every single harmony, doubled and everything. But yeah, that was always my process and everything. So it's actually been really fun being in this band, coming in and like, because mentally that would put me in a bit of a box of like, oh, I can't share anything unless it's done, because I'm a perfectionist. But being in a collaborative space and playing music with other people is so much more like freeing than that. Even though it's fun, to like finish something right away, it puts you in a box and you can't like, write something, sit on it, and then come up with new ideas and everything, which is something that's really great about this band.
True. Nice.
Leo, do you want to share about your
Yeah.
songwriting?
I don't write songs for this band.
Yeah, but your other
songwriting, I want
band.
to hear about it.
Arlen Gun Club?
Wait, when you were like writing songs, like for the first record and the first EP for Arlen, and when you were writing songs for Vandalia, like what was your process?
They're all just rip-offs of Green Day. No.
Jesus of
I haven't
Suburbia?
written. I unfortunately have not written a song in like
Wake Me Up When September Ends.
multiple years. I don't know. I haven't been able to sit down and do it lately. So
Real?
I couldn't
So
tell.
the,
I'm extremely burnt out with my other band in terms of songwriting, because we put out like 3 things before. Pretty much, we recorded 3 projects before Spoils even was like pretty much like out there, and it was all me. And then we recently finally put out another record like this year, and none of the songs were written by me except for like the lyrics and I guess the melody of the lyrics, but I don't know. So I used to just informally would write songs how Nina would suggest, like it's like you just play a guitar and like hum until like a voice memo, and I would just figure something out. And then
Oh my god, the voice memos.
yeah, and then I would just
Dude.
make words that would go together, and they would always end up being about me from my perspective, and I kind of got tired of that too. But that's just how it naturally goes, and I don't know.
Change it.
I really honestly don't know. I might have to cut this out. I haven't written a song in forever and don't remember the process for it.
That's okay.
I'd rather just sometimes just like to play drums. Maybe
just bang it out.
Expressive.
maybe learn a
Yeah.
Phoebe Bridgers song on guitar or something.
Yeah.
That's been fun. So
Love
she
it,
plays in
Phoebe
drop C
song.
sharp. It's pretty cool.
That's so fascinating.
Leo taught me how to do the drop D tuning on my guitar, and that changed everything. That's all I want to say.
I brought a lot of
If you're a
like,
Nirvana fan.
every
yeah,
time
Leo
on
was like,
it.
"Oh, did you know you could do this?" Actually, yeah,
palm
it's-
muting. They didn't know about palm muting.
Oh my god.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
The whole
3 weeks
musical
ago.
range
Thanks,
just
Leo.
Until
opened
3
up.
weeks
Thanks,
ago.
Leo.
I brought
Yeah.
a lot of like I guess I and I don't bring a lot of songwriting to this band, but I brought a lot of like I guess I wouldn't say expertise, but I would say like
Technical
experience.
Yeah, you did.
Because
yeah.
I've been
Yeah.
in playing with bands before Spoils, so
Oh, yeah.
and then Elise also because she had been doing music before I had done music pretty
Yeah.
much.
True.
In our
Um,
I remember getting ready for our first show, like we had no clue what any of us needed to do. Like Nina and Jack and I.
Straight up. Yeah.
We were like, well, we need amps and like I don't
Oh my
think
God.
when we were practicing in my parents' basement, we didn't have a PA. We just plugged Nina's mic into an old guitar amp.
We still have those chords.
Yeah.
Um,
yeah.
But
We do.
yeah, we didn't know at all what we needed, and Leo really
It was the most
was a guiding
DIY. Yeah,
force.
for sure.
I'm the guy in the girl band.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Totally. Yeah.
Lucky
There's
you.
always one.
Yeah.
Somehow.
It must be.
Well, nice. Thank you guys for sharing all of that. That's cool. And you guys all seem to come from different perspectives of writing and songwriting too. So I'm sure, again, once you guys get together, that's cool.
I think so. Yeah.
Can you walk me kind of through your musical career, like when you released your albums, like when you recorded?
Yes.
Did you work with Did you work with like a label, or did you record yourself? That kind of thing. Can you just sort of walk me through a chronology?
Yeah.
best.
The
I know
first. Yeah.
I was gonna say I can give the dates if we want them.
I don't
Yeah,
have. Okay.
I would love
yeah.
the dates. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we started playing together Nina and I started playing together at the end of February in 2021. We would go on
Don't
Instagram Live
So
and
true.
dick around, and it was so funny. It was like really like COVID desperation.
Yeah.
And
Just throwing stuff
And,
at
like,
the wall.
March we started playing with Jack Doyle, and then at the end of March we started, like, on that Holy Saturday, we started playing with Leo, and then our first show was in June of 2021, and we played it was in our friend's backyard,
Yeah.
and Nina's brother opened for us with
True
a DJ set.
Yeah, shout out.
And then our second show
Pablo Bob.
was at another friend's backyard, and we had another DJ open, or it was more of a, it was a DJ
Yeah,
noise.
it was like
The
a
birthday
mixed
party?
DJ
kind of
noise
genre.
type of
It was
thing.
at Zoe's old house.
It was at
It's
Zoe's
we played
backyard
some
on
weird
Bishop.
shows, yeah.
And then our next show was actually the person that opened for us at our second show, his basement for his birthday party. And
Yeah.
he did another noise set, and then we played, and that was good. That was cool.
Yeah.
And then we had a couple shows booked out. We were doing, like, I think a Girls Rock fundraiser. We were also
No, that was
supposed-
later.
No, this was a different Girls Rock fundraiser.
Really?
Yeah, it was supposed to be
I
at
don't remember.
in Clifton, and then we were supposed to play a show at
So true.
the Comet, and then Nina got COVID,
So true.
and so we couldn't play those shows, and I thought the whole
That's why I
world was
don't
over.
remember.
But then we just booked a show for ourselves, classic early, I think, like, classic post-COVID, where
Yeah.
it was like there didn't need to be a touring band, you just, like, found bands you wanted to play with and put together a show,
Yeah.
which was cool
Now
because it was
everybody's
like
touring.
yeah, which was cool
yeah.
because it was like, oh, we
All
just were playing a
Cincinnati
show because we
bands.
want to play a show and we want to hang out with our friends. And that was like the beauty of the post-COVID boom. But we played a show
Yeah.
at the Comet, I believe in October. And then,
We started recording around the same time with
yes.
Miller Kenny, who's in Touchdown Jesus, who's like an amazing Cincinnati band. And we recorded in their attic in Clifton, I think over the course of like a few months. And that was our first EP, Find Later. I think it was like 6 songs that we came in and just collaborated. And it was cool working with Miller from a production standpoint because they brought in like, yeah, more like kind of that technical production expertise. But it was like, oh, it was like such a, I don't know, it was like a dream come true to record.
Yeah.
It was like so fun just to hang out and like work on these tracks together.
It was
And
super
then-
DIY though.
Yeah.
Super duper DIY.
I was in the only room that was dedicated to recording was the second bedroom that was mic'd up, and I couldn't play to a click. I was that bad still, and then everything else was done on like a couch in front of a MacBook laptop.
Yeah.
When was
Um,
that one released?
That was
Yeah.
in March of 2022.
Mhm.
And then we
We released that kind of like with a friend of ours, Zach. It was
Oh, yeah,
kind of on
Green
his
Pig.
label. Like, he helped us put together
Yeah.
CDs.
we did like
and
20
tapes.
20 like 10-inch like lathe cut vinyls that like I don't know where we have a few left. I don't know where they are, but it was like a very limited run of vinyl. Yeah, and we did tapes and CDs. Also extremely DIY. Like we like hand spray painted like stencils to make the CD art. And then we
With stencils that we made at the library.
True, Makerspace. We use the what is it called? Like the cutter to cut like wooden stencils. Of the cover art for our first EP, Find Later, is an image of Samantha at Spring Grove Cemetery that I like sort of digitally replicated and manipulated. I guess Spring Grove is like pretty like important to Spoils at that time, or at least to me. Like the album is called Find Later, which is someone's headstone at Spring Grove. There's like one, called Find Later. The cover image is Samantha at Spring Grove Cemetery. I think we were spending a lot of time there, like during the pandemic and even post-COVID. It's just like a really nice place to like hang out, take a nap, hang out with friends, take a walk.
Mhm.
And then,
Wait, really quick.
yeah.
The reason we got connected with Miller was because they just messaged us on Twitter and we're like, can I record your band?
Yeah.
And they had never recorded anybody else's
Yeah.
project before. They'd only recorded and produced their own stuff. So they were just hoping to get into production. And they were like, you guys want to be the guinea pig? So we did, and we worked on it for a really long time.
Yeah.
We recorded starting at the beginning of like in October, and then we didn't finish it until
Like January or
yeah,
February.
it was like January.
Came out in March.
Yeah, and then yeah, we were like very particular about like all the production stuff.
Yeah.
But what was I gonna say? I think that's it.
You said Fine Later came out in March of 2022.
Yeah.
March of 2022, and then our second EP, which is called Nothing for a Man, came out in August or September of 2023. And that was kind of like a similar process where we were like playing a lot of shows. I was writing like more music, and then I think was it in spring of 2023 we went to the Lodge to
Yeah.
record.
Yeah.
We spent like a weekend at the Lodge in Dayton, Kentucky, with my partner Julian Vanas, who plays in some bands here in Cincinnati and also does like engineering. I got COVID that weekend, so we recorded at the Lodge like
You're always getting
with
COVID.
masks on. I've had COVID 5 times. Most recently was like 2 months ago.
I haven't gotten it from her a single time.
I haven't had
That
it
we
one
know
year.
of.
That we
We know of. But we recorded at the Lodge,
Yeah.
masked up, and then worked on that record, and worked on
Finished
Yeah.
it up in
That came out
John
in
Curley Studio.
yes.
we
Yeah.
were working on it in John Curley of the Afghan Wigs has a studio down here that we were rehearsing in for a while, and we mixed and recorded the rest of it with Julian there. And
Yeah.
we tried to do our own production on that record because I didn't know anything about production. I was like, how hard can it be? It's hard. People study it, and rightfully so, because it is an art form. But it was still really fun to record, and definitely I felt like it was like more hands-on on our part,
Yeah.
a little bit, like, and then put that out, in August of 2023. Played some shows. We've toured a little bit. And now we're finishing up our third, hopefully a full album that we're recording with Leo's brother, Lewis. And I would say like about halfway through that, but hopefully it'll be a full album. That's
Yeah.
the goal, is like,
Yeah.
not more than an EP, you know.
Yeah. We also did work with Happy Family for a little
True.
bit.
Happy
With-
families.
Happy Families, excuse me. Thank you, Nina. When we released our EP, Torn Light was still in Cincinnati at the time. And a friend of ours got the CD and was playing it at the store, and Alex York was like, "Who is this?" And we were like, "They're from Cincinnati."
Yeah.
We got connected with them, and
Yeah.
they put out tapes for us in July of 2022, which was cool.
True.
And then, they put out tapes for us, and then also put out our second EP
On cassette. Yeah.
on cassette as well.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's really exhaustive. And it seems like you guys have worked with a lot of like, Cincinnati staples.
Yeah, I feel like we've been really lucky that people have approached us and like we've sort of taken chances. Like working with Miller on the first EP, they were like, I've never done this before, so it's kind of like a trade-off. And even working with Lewis, like I don't think he's recorded like full bands before. So, but his expertise is like just incredible because he's trained and studied at CCM. But it's been cool that we've had these like collaborations that feel like really like mutually appreciated, but also like a lot of times like that we're just working with our friends, which is I think kind of the best way to approach creative projects. Like even for Spoils, like I really value that beyond just being bandmates, we have like a really strong friendship that like it just enhances like doing this so much more than if we were just like in it for the
Just the music.
Yeah, just the music. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it's cool that there's overlaps of friendship and creative collaboration in like all different parts of Spoils.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Who are some of your favorite people to work with in Cincinnati, or what are some of your favorite collaborations that you've done? Or alternatively, or additionally, who would you like to collaborate with? What's the dream collab?
I would love to play a show with Wussy.
Yeah,
That would
Wussy,
be-
hands
That's my
down.
number one right now. Their
Hands
new
down.
record.
They always say we sound like them.
Their
Yeah.
new record's
I love them.
so
It's
good.
so good.
Yeah,
I can
it's
hardly
amazing.
stand it.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Oh my gosh, it's so good.
They're just really sweet people. Yeah, so talented, so humble. Chuck and Lisa of Wussy have a show at Waif.
I did my
Where-
weight training with them.
Yeah, where
No big deal.
I have a show and Sam subs on shows, and they're just like, yeah, I don't know. It's like, it feels kind of cool because it's like, maybe we could play a show with Wussy. Like, it's like,
This
it wouldn't be that, that far out of pocket. Like, I remember like Fairmount Girls, we were like, oh, like, be cool to play a
Wouldn't
show
it
with
be a
Fairmount
dream?
Girls. And
Yeah.
we've gotten to play like many shows
Multiple,
with
yeah.
Fairmount Girls. So there's certainly like collaborators that I really enjoy playing with. I'm trying to think who else. There's like a lot of like local bands who we've like supported or supported us. Like we toured with a band called Mary Henry, who are really cool, like experimental, kind of weird electronic indie
Yeah,
stuff.
really good stuff.
But I'm trying to think.
I think
who
our show
else.
with Otoboke Beaver was like
True.
crazy.
We
Leggy,
went with,
yeah.
Leggy and Otoboke.
Yeah, we played at Bogarts with Leggy and then this Japanese band Otoboke Beaver. That was like
Amazing. Crazy.
insane. Yeah.
We have a few out of town bands we would play with a lot, like Zilched and
True.
not Midwife. What's the name?
Oh, Total
Total
Wife
Wife
in
and
Nashville.
Rigby.
and also
In
Rigby.
Rigby in
Yeah,
Nashville.
really,
So they come here,
Yeah.
we go there a lot of times. Zilch doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, but shout out.
But
Oh.
shout out Chloe.
We also played with this band from Indianapolis. They're called Wishy, and they're like popping off, and they're all
Love them.
very sweet.
Yeah.
And we played
it's
like
great.
a handful of shows with them before they changed their name. They used to be called Mana.
Oh.
And then they went through a name change, and we like did
Yeah.
a little tour with them, and still keep in touch with their
They're
guitar player is
fantastic.
named Nina Pitchkaitis, and my name is Nina Piatis, so it's
Whoa.
like another Nina
Double Nina P.
with
I
a
know
P.
that last name.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
and they're just
Holy
like
shiz.
I don't know. I hold them to
Yeah,
like a
Wish is
very
Wish
high.
is probably like one of the top.
Yeah.
I think we've
That first
Totally.
EP is
I
here.
didn't even
Yeah.
get to play with them. I was not able to come on that tour. I was a one.
What about
You played a show-
You
You
didn't.
played one
But you
show
played
with
the
them.
first show with them in Indianapolis when we
Yeah.
first
That
played
was
with
them?
Yeah,
I had
that
no
was with
idea.
Zilch and Mana. At
They were called
State
Mana?
Street
Yeah,
Pub.
that's
why I
Mana,
didn't
yeah.
remember
at the time.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Genius name. Love
Okay,
that.
Yeah.
I sat outside.
They're definitely. But I don't. Is there?
I think
anyone
that's it.
else?
John
I don't know.
Hurley.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
there's
John Curley helped us record a song once.
Yeah.
true.
That was
Yeah,
cool.
at
That was awesome.
UC's CCM Studios.
Having him tell me that like my bass line was sick, I was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Mr. Curley, please. Please.
It's kind of like thinking
Yeah.
of.
I don't know. I feel like we're lucky to play with anyone.
Yeah, I love playing with friends.
Because we
Yeah.
stink.
Because we stink. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who are your favorite up and coming Cincinnati bands?
Uh,
Swap that.
Tedward. I really like.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know if they're ever gonna play again, but they were popping off a lot last year and the year before.
Mm.
They're like a fuzzy rock, like garage rocky kind of band, and they're actually up on the staircase as well.
I gotta say, Pity Xerox. They're a new band.
Mhm.
My friend Patrick Zoff, who I play in another band with him and Julian called, we're called 5 Pointed Stars, but he has his own band called Pity Xerox. He just put out a record on Friday. It's beautiful. It's like electronic dream pop. They're playing a release show at Northside Tavern next week. And Patrick is like one of the most hardworking, creative, like driven individuals who has a really strong knack for like writing good pop music. And this is their first. Lewis plays in their band, so I'm like, this is their first big show, and I'm just like so excited to see them play, for sure.
Devil's Cross Country,
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
Nina plays in as
I
well.
play violin with Devil's Cross Country. Yeah,
Say Mary Henry as well.
Mary Henry
And Touchdown Jesus.
Touchdown Jesus. Yeah,
Some of these don't need our help shouting
Artificial
out,
Go.
but-
Yeah,
We just name every
Honestly,
single.
yeah.
logo.
I feel like
Yeah.
I don't know how you all feel, but I feel really out of touch with local music right now. I feel like I don't know
We'll take notes then.
what the up and coming bands are. Like I like know my homies' bands, but like as far as like what's coming out of like the college scene right now, or like
Yeah.
even just like
Raged out.
freshly like I don't know. I just feel like a little bit disconnected. I think there was also it's also tricky. Like when we started playing music, it's really easy to get people to shows because
True.
we started playing as a band because it was post-COVID and everybody was like, let's hang out. But now I think like, and it was really cool because like every show was packed. Like
Yeah, people
didn't
wanted
matter
to
the
be out
night
there.
of the week. And like, yeah, it was just easy to get people out to shows. These days, I think.
It's a little
less-
Oh,
Nick Mauer. Sorry.
Oh yeah, Nikki Mau Mau.
yeah.
Bad
Mickey
Man.
Mouse. Yeah.
Bad Man.
bad man.
Bad man.
Bad man.
Yeah.
But yeah,
sorry.
it's just like the scene was really cool right when we were starting, and I was really grateful for that.
Yeah.
I think the scene's died down a little bit. I think I'm also just less involved.
Yeah, I was gonna say I disagree. I feel like the scene is changing a lot, and it's less like indie rock oriented. Cause I interrupted and brought up Nick Mauer because he's like we're I guess sort of label mates. He's put out a record on Happy Families, and he's like 20 or 21. He plays a show like every week,
Mhm.
and like people come to every show,
Yeah.
and he performs so well. And always, it just kind of has this like is able to draw people to his shows and whoever else is performing too. It's always someone
Plays a
super
lot of shows with
interesting.
Bad Man.
Yeah, and I feel like the scene has been now. I think it's become a little more diverse in
Mhm.
terms of like the kind of music. There's like a really strong DJ scene happening right now in Cincinnati. A really strong experimental music scene. I would like to shout out the artist Sherman. Who Zaire, who's a saxophone player who like does really beautiful experimental saxophone, and then an artist named Camel Jam who does really cool electronic like analog synth dance music. And I feel like it's probably less of a social outing of people just wanting to get out of the house, but it seems now like when people come to shows, it's like maybe it's less people, but it feels more maybe concentrated and like the like people really want to be there for those shows, if that makes sense. But also there's like North by Northwest happening this
Yeah.
weekend that like Fritz played a show at Shaken Records, and like there's certainly stuff going on. I think maybe just like pendulum is kind of
Yeah.
moving around.
Yeah, I feel like there's some truth to that. And Sam, you just kind of like put a pattern on it for me too of like, yeah, it does feel like 2021, everything was packed. People were really like hungry to be out in front of people. And then, yeah, now it seems like it's harder to get people out. Like there's like people have less disposable income for
True,
shows.
yeah.
It feels like people are kind of like burnt out, overworked. They're
Mhm.
not
Yeah.
they're not as engaged. At least that's what I've noticed as it's changed. So I feel
Yeah.
like that's an interesting observation.
Yeah, I also
Yeah.
think part of it, I'm just like disconnected right now. But yeah, there's definitely, that was a phenomenon that happened right after COVID.
Yeah, you guys have a unique experience as a band starting at and after that time. There's a question on here about like hardest moments, but it sounds like you guys have been really impacted and shaped by COVID. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I think I wouldn't say Spoils was born out of like necessity, but probably more like boredom and like a really like, I honestly like a really like cathartic and like pleasurable out like yeah like just practice of like couldn't go out, you know, so like it
But
was
it was
fun.
necessity.
Yeah, I guess it was. You know what? Never mind. I needed this. I needed.
I'm here to
Spoils.
affirm you.
Yeah, thank you.
Just a
Yeah.
little bit.
If I didn't have spoils, I'd be bored.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've grown like 6 inches since joining Spoils. I've been in the best physical shape of my life. My IQ has grown. It's changed. My
Spoils
life.
get swole.
Yeah,
2025.
true.
I can lift a small bar now.
We're thinking about taking time off to start
To
bodybuilding.
just actually get completely yoked.
Yeah, yeah. But after the album,
Yeah.
Wait till the
we'll do that.
You'll see.
Yeah, yeah.
a real excellent
Amazing. I've got no doubts. I just have a couple more questions, and I feel like this is an obvious one. What are your future plans as an artist? What are the goals for Spoils?
Put out an album.
Yeah,
Put out an
put
album.
out that record.
True.
We're the
Play
slowest. We're the slowest to record band ever.
True.
Ever.
That's not
Nobody's
true.
That's
slower
not
than that.
true.
That's
though.
not
That's
true. Our
so
album
not
took
true.
so long to record our EP. It took
Yeah.
over a year.
Worth it.
No.
I
Perfectionists.
disagree. Disagree. Yeah, life gets in the way. But record.
Yeah.
We made a goals list, which was like tiny desk, which is like now we're playing the stairs. So
This is kind of.
I don't need
this
the
is kind of
tiny
Check that
both.
off.
Yeah.
Audio tree.
Don't
But,
tell
like,
NPR we said that. But
yeah, yeah. Don't tell Bob. What's his name? Bob Boylan.
something.
Yeah, like audio tree stuff where it's like I don't know, it'd just be cool to do stuff like that. Honestly, recording a record and touring, because
Mhm.
touring is the most fun. We went on
Yeah.
tour, a baby tour, a couple months ago, and it was
Yeah.
so fun.
Even though
I
you
think-
got food poisoning.
I got violent food poisoning
Yeah.
the last night. We played the most fun show in Chicago, and then I violently vomited for 4 hours straight.
Yeah.
Worth it.
Sometimes you
Yeah.
rock so hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
happens
So
to
I'd like to
us.
note that we
Yeah.
ate the same food,
Yeah.
but I did not get sick and Nina did, and that's because I believe I have a stomach
So
that's
ate it
seal.
after it was out of the fridge for like 6 hours.
Yeah, it was
That-
unrefrigerated lamb
Cut that
from a Yemeni restaurant. It was so good.
So
But-
good. Oh my god.
Did me so dirty.
I've had food poisoning
So
before.
worth it though.
It's fine.
Yeah.
You get through it.
And then I still had the best time, even though
Yeah.
it was like
Mm-hmm.
we were packed like sardines in Sam's car. It was so fun.
Yeah.
So touring and recording, that's like
Yeah.
my goal, and probably I guess our future plans.
I think keep collaborating with friends.
True.
We have I think we have
Yeah.
a ton. All of us. We have really, really talented, creative friends.
Totally.
And that's kind of how I feel like we've been getting by.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's kind of like to feel like it's nice feeling like a level of success with your friends and like helping
Peers.
each other's
Like,
success.
like you mean like touring? and
Well, yeah, I
whatnot?
think like we have Lou is recording the album and you have friends in Chicago that are wanting to
True.
do like creative production and
Yeah.
video stuff for us and everything
about
and just
that.
like collaborating in ways like that I think is really fun. So
Yeah.
I think that's goal for
Yeah, we've been
us.
yeah, like I said, lucky enough where we've never. I don't think, to my recollection, we've never had to like outsource anything that we wanted to do. It's
Yeah.
like if we want to get our band portrait taken. We have friends who are photographers.
Yeah.
If we want to make cassette tapes, we have friends who like help dupe tapes. Like if we want to do anything like that, there's people who are like practicing artists who are like, I want to collaborate. Like this would be fun for me too. Not like. It doesn't feel transactional. It feels
Mhm.
like just an extension
Communal.
of collaboration. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
super, communal. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a cool feeling. I love that about Cincinnati. I feel like
Yeah.
It's so cool.
we've been, shit on by the coast so much that we
See,
became
yeah.
self-sustaining. We're like, okay, fine,
Yeah.
we don't need
Yeah.
you. We're gonna do it ourselves.
Yeah.
And now we have all these cool, niche, interesting people doing
Totally.
interesting things.
And it's I feel like one of the few places where like you really can sustain yourself as an artist, like on pretty like menial living. Like you don't have to like slave. I don't think it might be changing now, honestly, with all the shrinkflation and tariffs and stuff. But like you can work kind of like a low key-ish job and like afford a studio and like a practice space and have time to practice and have time to go to shows. We're also lucky enough that like so many shows are free here.
Yeah.
Like
It is not like that
or
in
like
other
$5
cities.
to get in and
Yeah.
like to my own admission I've like been like $7 like I don't know, but then it's like how lucky, like $7
Yeah.
like
It goes past
I mean, we
15.
played a show
Yeah.
in Chicago recently where the door was $20.
yeah,
But
totally.
And
$20
people
in
came up,
Chicago
but
and it's
$20 in
like
Chicago
$10.
is different than
it's like $5 in
Yeah.
Cincinnati.
It was
Yeah.
crazy. People show up, but yeah, Cincinnati has
The accessibility
of
point is
free
like super the
which
entry
is really
point,
cool.
yeah, it's super accessible.
Mhm.
Nice. Very cool. Well, my last question on here, unless there's anything else you guys want to talk about, any other cool stories?
Don't give them that opportunity.
Yeah.
I
So
don't
there's just one.
It all
I
started.
don't think so. Yeah, I don't know.
Walter Elias Disney.
Well, certainly if you think of anything, you can. But
Oh,
how
Walt
about
Disney.
advice to local musicians? This is always a fun one. Like, what do you
Don't.
have to say?
Hey,
Dang.
ooh, I'll counter and say
what's
do.
your advice?
I'm just kidding.
Do. Just do
Also,
it.
Just do it with people you're friends with.
Yeah.
Don't get caught up in like the formality of it all, because truly you can create
True.
roadblocks for yourself. And honestly, these people that are kind of like starting to pop off locally don't have a lot of means anyways. So like the gear is not necessarily great, like, recording
DIY.
quality. Yeah, it's very DIY, and
DIY.
it does, nothing has to be perfect.
Yeah, I will say 2 things, which is like, if it's not fun, you shouldn't do it.
That's what it's
I feel like the
Be
whole
yourself
time
and
we,
have fun.
yeah.
if you're
like,
not having fun,
do
you're doing
care.
it wrong.
Yeah.
Plus, I love you. Like if you, the whole time spoils.
Did
It's
ask
like
do care, plus I love you.
exactly. It's like
Plus having fun, plus playing.
yeah. It's like I'm only here because I enjoy having fun and playing with you guys.
Yeah.
And when there's been times when I felt like caught up in the details of like, we have to finish this, or like, why isn't this going like this? I'm like, that's not the point.
Yeah. You create your own timeline.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then the other thing I was gonna say is just relax, because we're in Cincinnati and it's
It doesn't
never.
matter.
It's always like if it's a
It
big
does
deal,
matter,
we're just in
but-
Cincinnati. Like the stakes are
Can't be
not
that serious.
astronomical.
Never
Yeah,
been
It's
lower.
not Madison Square Garden.
exactly. It's
And
just
even
fun.
if it was, you guys,
Holy
none
crap.
of this matters.
Yeah.
None of this matters.
So just have
It's
fun.
so chill.
Those
Yeah.
are such good perspectives. Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I have.
That's all she wrote.
All right, friends. Well, if nothing else,
I don't think so. Thank you.
Brian, did you want to?
Cut.
Cool.
Cut.
Oh wait, no, I do just want to say I have to shout out the library because
Big
it's
shouts
like
to the library.
It
Love
has
the
been-
library. I'm
yeah.
#1 library. Yeah.
We've made so
Guys.
many like spoils like stuff here, but also just like beyond even music. The Cincinnati Public Library is just so many resources,
Makerspace.
so
When
accessible.
you
The
come down-
makerspace, the stacks, like
I'm gonna also say this.
yeah,
Favorite branch, obviously downtown, because
Yeah.
you come here, you can get basically any book ever. You just go up to the library, you just go up to a desk. You're like, I need all these books, and they're like,
Yeah.
Yep, get it in the stacks. You just wait 15 minutes, and then you have like basically unlimited knowledge.
Yeah.
It's so awesome. Anything you want to
Shout
learn about
out.
it, you come downtown to the downtown library. You just go boom, boom, boom. So many books. You walk out, you can get huge stacks of books. No money.
unless
so
you owe
cool.
fees, which I do,
I thought
but
the
I'll
fees were
bring those
gone.
back. I don't
They
know.
got
The
rid
fees
of them.
gone.
You just return
You
the
actually
book.
have to play a show to wipe.
Oh, thank God.
I just
my
returned a
gosh.
bunch of books. We
Don't talk about this.
We checked out at the new Deerfield Township or
No,
whatever that
in
is.
Springdale. the
Springdale?
new- yeah.
It's big. And
I think it's
we
actually
never-
Forest
so
Park.
long
I think
it
it's
stopped
technically
auto
Forest
renewing.
Park.
It was like the first
Beautiful.
weekend it opened, and then I was like 2 weeks ago. I was like, oh, these books are like just like hidden back here. Like I should probably return them. And I just took them back to
Well,
my
someone
library.
organized them with our books, so.
No.
it wasn't me, so.
Ooh, I didn't.
I
Thank
have-
you to the
I
library
have
for
20
giving
books
us.
checked out right now. Most of them are Birdfield guides.
The graphic novel selection here is
Oh.
unparalleled. It's crazy.
Manga. This is the library got me into like manga and like anime and stuff like that, which is something I enjoy. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't go to like the library to read like Naruto and Zatch Bell and stuff.
Boom.
There you
I
go.
love
There
the
it is.
library. The library is the best.
Wouldn't
it's my
recommend
super
it.
favorite.
And
Or-
see.
No, like I just like can't like stress this enough. Like I'm #1 library head. It's my favorite.
Number 2, because I'm number 1.
Oh, okay.
No.
There you
If the
go.
library has no fans, I'm dead.
True.
There you go.
The end.
Found out about the stairs.
How'd you find out about the stairs?
Oh, Fritz told us secretly before he was supposed to tell us.
Ooh.
Sorry, I didn't mean to out him.
Ooh.
I shouldn't have said it. I forgot my
Fritz was like,
Got that.
but it's already happened. So like, what?
It was here when I was on one of my trips with Nina to pick up a large stack of books. It was
Yeah.
awesome actually while this library is being renovated because you didn't have to go anywhere
He-
to get your books. You
He
just
showed
be
us
like,
some pictures.
Here's my stack, and then they all just somebody else
Some
gets them for
mock-ups.
you.
He showed us some
Someone's
mock-ups.
And then he was like,
Fired.
"Are you guys in spoils?" And we were like, "Yeah." And then he was like, "You guys are on the stairs."
It was
He
so
showed us a
cool.
picture and we were like,
oh my god.
No way. I was riding that high 3 weeks easy.
Literally.
Yeah.
Oh my
I
gosh.
told my
And
parents
then-
immediately.
When we came here and it was like we were in the library and I saw it, I was about 2 months easy. Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
Full goosies.
No,
I
this,
have
who knows what this is
goosebumps.
going to do for us.
Goosebumps
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
so funny.
We're
Anyways,
so lucky.
Cut.